Morgan, good morning and good afternoon for you, actually.
Good afternoon.
I am super excited to have you on Tutor Boot today. And before we dig in, I just want to actually give you a chance to introduce yourself so people know who you are.
Hello, I am Morgan Williams. I am the CEO and co-founder of PeakHR.
Woo woo. Love
Yes.
Peak HR, an
Right.
amazing founding team at Peak. Uh,
Yes.
and I we're gonna get pretty deep on some of these things today. So we might as well just head right into the deep end here. We're starting off with Harley Davidson is dropping diversity initiatives after right-wing anti-DEI campaign.
Boot. Definitely. Definitely boot.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm very over this DEI backlash. I think it's been long. And I think it's really disappointing. I think what's a little bit different about this one than some of the other ones, if you really dig into the article and read more, like they're even no longer going to be doing for like minority small time business vendors. I think
I
that
know.
that's wild. Like, I mean, to go that deep and overarching, they're also redoing their ERGs. Like, it just feels very intense as far as like they've gone. And I think
Yeah.
also we're already seeing the backlash of some of these people, like MIT, Tara, she shared something yesterday, but like they're already seeing the effects of these. And so it's interesting that we're still going through this. And now we're also seeing the other side of people that have already done that. And now what's happening. So it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I when I started reading through it, it was like, okay, they're not gonna sponsor Pride anymore. They're not gonna donate to the Human Rights Campaign anymore. You're like, wow, you are going all in. And it really seems like it is, and it's the same person who essentially targeted Tractor Supply and John Deere as like, oh, and this is the thing that their quote was, "We are saddened by the negativity on social media over the last few weeks designed to divide the Harley Davidson community." You don't think that these actions might
The
divide
community.
the community?
That's always my point with these. It's like they lean on this, but then you do something that does that. And so it's just like I don't your answer doesn't make sense. If you want to just get rid of it, get rid of it. But like the answers a lot of times that they give, that's the part that really frustrates me. I'm okay if you were being performative with it, you should have never even started it. Like I'm totally on that camp. I'd rather you be honest about it. But to have these things within ERG, suppliers, vendors, things like that, and then to go this way, it just feels crazy. I also think like on a high note, we need to start mobilizing and doing our own countersuits or figuring out, their arguments and articulating that more openly because that's the only way that they've been able to succeed. Some of these, they aren't even the person that has been injured. And so, as usually people that are injured, being a woman and a minority, like we need to start mobilizing as well because I think that this is only hurting us in the long end. And it's just devastating to see this continuously happen. So, yeah, boot it.
Yeah, major boot. And I feel like it's disappointing too because it just seems like they're not even acknowledging that they have a pretty diverse community. And they're like, no, no, this guy was bullying us on Twitter, so
This guy, singular guy, is like that's it, the power, right? Like
yeah.
that's what I think is so intense. I mean, my dad drives a motorcycle, so like I've been in motorcycles, you know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
very frustrating too because this is not a monolith, like this community is very diverse.
Yeah. Boot. Okay. Let us move on to the next one we have here. I think this is the one you brought to my attention. What's happened in Silicon Valley is insane, says Mark Cuban. They want Trump to be the CEO of the United States of America. What did you what did you
Dude,
think?
dude.
You're like,
First
get
off,
him, Cuban.
definitely a Mavs fan. Obviously, I'm from Texas. No, total toot, total toot. Thank you, Mr. Cuban, for calling out what I think we've all been talking about in smaller circles of like, what is going on in these VC like circles? It's insane. And also for them to be putting this stuff out so publicly, it's sickening. Like to see them doing all this, it feels like, I don't know, it reminds me of like a high school popularity contest to some degree of like everybody just wanting this like closeness and alignment with power, and they're willing to sell everything, their values, their mission, their roles to get it. And I think when you see that level of greed, it is, yeah, I think I'm just happy that somebody of that level is calling it out, because I think when other people do, it's like, oh, you're jealous or you're this or that. I'm happy that somebody on their tier is saying what really needs to be said. And I love what he's doing. Like, I mean, he partnered with Arlen, like he's been diversifying his things. He's been speaking about, just DEI stuff in general, as well as coming out against these. So he's not only saying it, with his mouth, he's showing his actions. And I'm absolute fan, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I toot it as well. It's like bring that into the conversation because I one of the things that just was really interesting to me that I've felt like people weren't commenting on, or people you're saying at that kind of same tier weren't commenting on, is that when you have, folks like Andreessen who are basically having calls with the companies that they're funding, making the case for one presidential candidate, and it's like, okay, that seems weird. Like, and what impact is that having when you think about, okay, who are you funding? And what impact is that having if there are people on the calls that are like, hey, is my funding now going to be held up because you don't think I'm in alignment with what you're saying? Or, like it feels like it's something that could really impact people's businesses. And so I just wondered, like, how are we not talking about that more? Like
Yeah,
that,
same implications, the people that like, especially as a demographic that gets literally less than 1% of funding, I can't believe that they said a lot of that stuff out loud. Like, if they were funding me, I'd really be thinking about that, because to me, you said the quiet part out loud. Like you've told me you really don't. Like you told me you care about money more than anything else, more than the success of my company, more than me as a person, and all of this like founders or families and all like. No, you're here for the check and it's great.
yeah,
And if that's the case, once again, just say it. Like, don't try to say all of this other stuff and align with me and then do something like this very publicly. Like it's alarming and quite frankly, it's terrifying. And unfortunately, they can't even talk about that because they're scared to be ousted. I'm not sure if you saw the TechCrunch article about it, but a lot of them spoke anonymously about how they felt because they were scared of the backlash of saying this publicly. And so it's like you're already seeing the ramifications with this. And that's what I think is also sad, that like the people that actually really need to speak up can't, because they're scared that they will no longer receive funding or be backed because this is what's happening in the Valley. And that in
yeah,
itself.
yeah, yeah. That exactly. That I think was what really stuck with me as well. Is like I've spent a lot of time working at startups and thinking about, okay, would I be able to get funding? Probably not from from these folks. Are the companies that I'm working for going to have a harder time getting funding because they aren't in alignment? Yeah, I think that sometimes there's that people can feel like it's so distant, but these aren't distant things. Like these have real world implications for people and the companies that they're working for. So yeah, it's a big deal. And kind of going along that same route, we have the movement to diversify Silicon Valley is crumbling amid attacks on DEI, with the Girls in Tech and Women Who Code groups shuttering.
Boo. Like, oh, that literally it broke my heart when I saw the first article go out, and then to see Girls Who Code along with that, it was just devastating. Right when they were getting started up, I was in the tech industry. And so I saw the impact like very directly. It was very exciting working with one, children, kids, but also kind of seeing more women enter this field that is very predominantly male.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think you just like felt like a new horizon kind of coming along, and like to see all of these big companies funding them for so many years. Like I didn't even think of like the thought that they wouldn't exist anymore. And so I
Yeah.
just think it's like sad to see, and that we've come during this time, and then also like that girls in tech were thinking about merging with girls who and like they both collapsed. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like it's hard. It's hard. It's also like these are organizations that gave their time, really helped people out to get in places that they likely wouldn't have been able to get. And once again, it reminds me of like who's helping these people now, who's climbing up the ladder, who's going to be able to assist them, especially with the DEI programs being removed and, these programs being severely underfunded. Like, what do you do at this point to kind of get a leg up or a hand in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to talk about the three of these together, because they're not distinct things. They're not disparate things, right? Like they are all connected. They are all having, an impact in this way. And so we really have to, I think, see that whole picture and understand like what does that mean for the tech industry more broadly, especially in terms of like then what products are getting funded, what who's in the room when the decisions are being made, like all of these things have true impact.
I saw something, somebody when it first got posted, I wish I remembered their exact post and their name, but they said something and it made me think I need to remember this next time. But it was basically like if you got a job from them, you need to start thinking about how are you repaying them back? You know what I'm saying? If they ever helped you in any type of way, because a lot of times people take that and then they go on to do their own things. They're like, did you get back? Did you recommend them? Did you, tell your board to donate to them or company donation funds? Because like they don't run without them, and I thought that that was a really great point of once you do get these leg ups or opportunities from these people, like how are you repaying that? How are you kind of keeping the system churning so it can keep going? And I think that's a thought that we all need to really think about of orgs that we really support and love and care about. Like once you get the benefit, what are we doing to keep them established and going? Because really that's how this all happened as well when we think about it.
Yeah, you kind of remind me, this is like a very, probably a bad analogy, but the thing when people are like, oh, that restaurant closed down, it's like, when was the last time you went?
You went there.
You can't be sad about it closing if you weren't doing anything to keep it open. And so I think like it's similar to what you're saying is like if you kind of go and then never turn back to make sure that it stays running, like this is the risk, especially in moments like this when it becomes that much harder and companies are turning away from those programs. Like it's not guaranteed. So yeah. Boo. Boo. All right. Well, that was the last article for us to chat about today. I thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to having you on again in the future.
Thanks so much. I enjoyed being here. Toot it up.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Toot or Boot. You can keep in touch with me, Stacy, on LinkedIn, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at tootorboot.com. And if you're enjoying Toot or Boot, we'd appreciate your positive review on your favorite podcast platform.